Straight to the papers, and of course the papers are full of COP30, the climate change conference in Brazil, dominating the press. Take it through us then, Dipti.
World leaders have, of course, gathered in the Amazonian city of Belem for a two-day diplomatic summit before those negotiations begin next Monday. The COP30 roadmap, as this Brazilian paper Folha de Sao Paulo explains, makes some ambitious proposals, revising financial rules and taxing fortunes, private jets, specific assets like military and luxury goods as well. All this as a means of reaching the $1.3 trillion US dollars needed for climate financing per year, the paper says. That roadmap also looks at new sources of low-cost financing, like growing the carbon market and facilitating debt swaps between countries for climate investment. COP conferences have, of course, long been derided as being ineffectual, showy as well. Well, despite the political and social challenges facing a turbulent world today, La Croix here, it says on its front page, says it believes in this conference nonetheless. There's reason to hope, it says. One man who does have reason to hope is President Lula. Now, he's actually penned an editorial, not in a Brazilian paper, but in an Indian paper called The Hindu today, in which he calls this summit the Cup of Truth. He says the choice to hold the summit in the Amazon is also a way of bringing people and world leaders face to face with the populations who are most vulnerable to the adverse effects of climate change. And it's also a way for people also to see how climate change can very really affect these populations.
One big absence this year, of course, the US. Donald Trump withdrawing even from the Paris Accords.
Well, yeah, that's right. He withdrew the US again from the Paris Accords when he became president. He's also recently derided climate change as a con job and refused to partake in the negotiations in Belem. Now, in this Asian business paper called Eco Business, it looks at what his absence means for the conference. It means concretely for the U.S. that it will be excluded from talks about climate financing goals and new emissions targets. There is one silver lining, though. The U.S.'s absence could give a stronger voice to the EU and China in these negotiations. It could also allow a greater voice for local and state representatives to sort of have their say in what goals are reached and what goals are decided upon. So that could be a silver lining. In any case, a lot is riding on this conference. Le Monde really looks at the past in this article, looking at taking stock of where we are 10 years after the Paris Accords were signed. Back then, leaders pledged to limit carbon emissions to a 1.5% rise. We now know that that is almost impossible. And the past 10 years have been the hottest on record. So all in all, not a really great record in the last 10 years.
Certainly not. Now to outrage in Mexico. This is after President Claudia Sheinbaum was sexually harassed in the streets of the capital.
Yeah, a really shocking and brazen attack, Stuart. This is in El País, in the English version of El País. She was walking through the center of the capital when a man approached her, tried to kiss her, and then groped her breast in front of a stunned crowd. And even more shockingly, it took a while for her security guard to eject the man from the premises. It's really drawn a lot of scrutiny around the treatment of women, but also around her lack of protective detail, because like her predecessor, Claudia Sheinbaum, has refused to have a presidential guard. It also comes after the recent assassination of a mayor at a public event in Michoacan. The president says she'll be taking a legal action against this individual. She said really also as a stance for all Mexican women. Sexual harassment in all forms is a reality for many Mexican women. This article says some 45% of women say they've been victim to such attacks.
Now to here in France for this next story, the government mulling an extraordinary proposal. This is actually suspending now the Chinese fast retailer Shein's website.
Yeah, that's right. It comes after Shein's rather calamitous bricks and mortar opening at Paris's BHV department store, which drew furious reactions and angry protests from activists. Now, the fast retailer has been accused, among other things, of pillaging the environment and flouting laws in a bid to sell cut-price articles on its online platform. The recent childlike sex doll drew particular outrage and horror, as well as the discovery of certain weapons that were available for sale on its online platform in France. It's why now the government is looking at this proposal that could suspend Shein's online platform in France until the company can prove that it complies with French laws and standards. It would be an unprecedented move.
Finally, another story from France. This is going to happen to me later, Dipti. A man has struck gold, literally, when digging in his garden. The only problem is I haven't got a garden.
Yeah, well then you might not, I'm not sure you'll find gold under your pillows, Stuart.
No.
So this local paper explains that he was digging his garden to build a pool in his home near Lyon when he came across 5 gold bars in perfect shape and seemingly conflict-free. These were not stolen from any kind of museum, I might add, nor do they have any archaeological value. So it turns out that the lucky man may be able to keep the bars. They're worth about 700,000 euros after taxes, after the state has gotten its cut of whatever it's worth. So you might want to forage around your garden or your terrace or under your pillow. You never know.
I haven't even got a terrace in the window box.
Maybe in the window box. On the streets in Paris, you never know.
Dipti, thanks a lot. Dipti with the papers for us.